This is Glenn Healy.
Hi, this is Braden Holtby.
This is Daryl Sutter.
Hi, this is Brian Burke.
This is Jordan Tutu.
This is Keith Morrison.
This is Kelly Rudy.
Hi, this is Scott Hartnell.
Hey, everybody. My name is Steele Fleury.
This is Tim McAuliffe of Sportsnet, and you're listening to the Sean Newman Podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, folks. Happy Monday. Hope everybody's had a great weekend. It was a beauty. And with the NCC firing up last night, the North American Chuckwagon Championships here in Lloydminster, I figured it was apt to have a couple of the drivers on, have a little bit of fun with it. So before we get to today's episode, let's get on to today's episode sponsors, Carly Clausen and Windsor Plywood. Has anybody else seen their little cartoon commercial? Carly as a cartoon? It makes me chuckle. Check out their Instagram if you want to see him run around as a cartoon character. Anyways, they are the builders of the podcast studio table. That is a real side note. And for everything wood, these are the guys. Deck season is upon us, and of course, Windsor is stocked up in everything for your deck and building supplies. So if you got a backyard project on the go, stop in and see the group at Windsor Plywood, or do what I do and hop on your phone and take a look at their Instagram page. Whether we're talking about mantles, decks, windows, doors, or sheds, Windsor is the spot. Give them a call, 780-875-9663. Mortgage broker Jill Fisher. Now, obviously, her name says it all. She proudly serves the areas of Lloydminster, Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and Vermilion, and she's looking forward to working with you for all your mortgage needs. It never hurts to have somebody who knows the ins and outs and can hopefully save you some money. So if you're looking at renewing your mortgage, or you're just in the process of getting the document signed, give Jill Fisher a call at 780-872-2914, or go to her website, find out a little bit more at jfisher.ca. Clay Smiley and Prophet River, they are moving to the old Buckle, which is exciting. I'm excited to see what the new place is going to look like. Of course, they specialize in importing firearms from the United States of America, and pride themselves on making the process easy for all their customers. They do all the appropriate paperwork on both sides of the border, because none of us want to do that, and get the firearm into Canada and into your hands. Just go to ProfitRiver.com and check them out today. They are the major retailer of firearms, optics, and accessories, serving all of Canada. Trophy Gallery, downtown Lloydminster, is Canada's supplier for glass and crystal awards. Of course, they also have some team memorabilia. You know, we had the Sidney Crosby signed jersey. Man, it was sharp. Literally brought it to the studio, and we sold it. And if you're looking for some signed gear, head down to Trophy Gallery, and they got some cool stuff there. Of course, I always bring up the SNP travel mugs that Clint did up for me. I hand them out on the Bike for Breakfast road trip, and man, they just look sharp. If you want to see firsthand, take a look online at trophygallery.ca. He's got all sizes, all shapes, all price ranges. Contact Clint or Dean at Trophy Gallery today, downtown Lloyd, Canada's award store. That's trophygallery.ca. Jen Gilbert and team, for over 45 years, since 1976, the dedicated realtors of Coldwell Banker Cityside Realty have served Lloydminster and the surrounding area. Star Power is what they provide, giving their clients 7-day-a-week access, because they know big life decisions are not made during office hours. That's Coldwell Banker Cityside Realty for everything real estate, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 780-875-3343. If you're looking for some outdoor signage, look no further. I got to give Read and Write hats off. They've done all my signs, and they've looked very sharp. Give them a call today, 306-825-5111. And finally, Gartner Management is a Lloydminster-based company specializing in all types of rental properties to help meet your needs. Whether you're looking for a small office or a 6,000-square-foot commercial space, give Wade Gartner a call today, 780-808-5025. And if you're heading into any of these businesses, make sure you let them know that they heard about them from the podcast, right? Now, let's get on to that T-Bar 1 Tale of the Tape. A Bonnyville boy and a Meadow Lake kid both had their rookie seasons in 2014 and now enter their 7th season with the CPCA. Former roommates and now competitors. I'm talking about Danny Ringuette and Kris Flanagan. So buckle up. Here we go.
Hey, it's Danny Ringuette here from the CPCA.
Hey, it's Kris Flanagan, and welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast.
Welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast. Today I'm joined by Danny Ringuette and Kris Flanagan. So first off, boys, thanks for hopping in the studio.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Now, it's been probably a long year for you fellas, coming through COVID. I mean, COVID's a long year for all of us, but to have your sport completely removed and not do anything must have been a tough year. You guys got to be excited to be back on the track.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it's a long year for everybody, but when you're turning out your 40 head of horses between the two of us and not getting to go down the road, and it's a little bit more stabbing in the back there where you just a little more hurt when you know those horses want to run and stuff. So getting back here, the first show, it was a couple weeks ago in Poundmaker, was a pretty big rush. It's almost like it was the first time again.
Yeah, I know. And last year when we had to turn the horses out, it wasn't a good day. And so when the first day of the spring, we were pretty excited, and I think the horses were even more excited than us. So it was pretty fun.
You can notice it in the horses.
Oh, for sure. They got their minds of their own, and they were pretty excited to go back on the training truck. So it was good.
Yeah, and you got to remember they've been racing since they're 2-3 years old at the racetrack, so they don't know time off like that. So you put them out in the pasture, and all they do is eat grass all summer and get chased by the bugs. They're not used to that. So whereas here, where they're in the barn and pampered and fed special mashes and mixtures of vitamins and stuff, and in the barn out of the bugs, and we treat them like babies. So you can tell that they thrive on that for sure.
It's interesting that you guys, that animals understand, like they don't like the time away either. Like they like being treated well, but they also like the competition of getting around the track and racing.
Well, just like an athlete, right? Yeah. Like when athletes, like they want to run, they want to play hockey, they want to do this, right? It's just like a horse. They're bred to run, like a thoroughbred. So if they're not doing it, they're not happy. So you could just tell, like this spring when we started training, their attitudes changed. They were playing more and feeling good, and it was fun to watch.
Now, fellas, normally, and I'm forgetting myself here, normally where I start is people are probably wondering, me and Danny were laughing at it when Kris goes to the bathroom. I'm going, okay, now you're which one now? And it's funny, you got a Flanagan shirt on, Kris, which makes it perfect. But for the listener, they probably don't know who either of you are. So before we go any further, what I want to do is I just want to kind of get a little bit about each of you so people can get used to your voices. And that way they can, as we move along in this, they understand I talk on here all the time. Nobody's worried about my voice. But, when you have multiple people in the studio, I kind of forget at times that listeners got to figure out who's talking. So we'll start with Danny. How did you get your start? I'm always curious at how drivers get their start. Like it's not. This isn't going down to the local rink and all of a sudden you pick up a set of hockey gear and away you go.
And us two we're first generation, so we don't have grandpas and dads that have done it either. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we started kind of the same way. He's got some cousins and stuff in it, but my story is kind of my uncle is B&R Eccles, and he started sponsoring wagons back. Jesus.
Say that again.
B&R Eccles?
Your uncle is B&R Eccles?
Well, he owns the company.
He's the R.
Yeah.
He's the R.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. So he's been sponsoring wagons for 40 years probably. He started with Ray Crotto Sr. and then sponsored Doug Irvine and Shane Nolan and Grant Priest, like all these older guys. So he's been in the sports forever.
You better hope Doug doesn't hear you call him old.
Yeah, I call him old in his face too. So, but my dad started doing these barbecues and stuff, and I went to barbecue with my dad and for Doug. And Doug, we started talking. I didn't really know Doug. Even though we live in the same town, we're both. Well, he lives just north of Bonnyville, and I'm from Bonnyville. And he said, well, why don't you come work for me next year? Okay, this seems pretty fun. So there I was working, being a barn hand, and I actually really, really loved it. And then he's like, well, for a couple of years, and then I tried to quit. Couldn't quit. And then he hooked me up to drive. And it's funny how you fall into these things too. It's just, and all of a sudden it just happened. The next year I was driving wagons. So it's, that's, I think, we started in 2014. So That's 7 years now. This will be our 7th year. So
What is it about it that you enjoy so much?
well, it's everything. Like, I enjoy being around the horses. The way of life is, you know, you got to be a hard worker, but you can have fun. Like, it's you're on the road, you're laid back most of the time, but it's like managing a hockey team too. You got 20 horses. What's my best lineup that's going to win tonight? And it's keeping your mind going, but the horses are the main thing. Like, I like knowing each individual horse and what they do and how they can drive better and which position they go in, and it's a puzzle that a guy tries to put together.
You can definitely how can I say this? I never grew up around horses. Like, we had a horse and my uncles had horses, but like, really, I never grew up around horses. The way you talk about like managing your team is really interesting to me. Yeah. So you're saying over the course of 7 years, you kind of just plug and play and figure out if, I don't know your horses' names, but I don't know. What's your best horse name you got for me?
Well, I got a lot of good horses, I think.
You can't single out one.
But I'll single one out because he's my last original horse that I have still in my outfit, and he's my good left leader. His name's Cat. And he's progressed so much over the years, and he's just he's a different horse. He don't like people too much, but he's getting older. He's 15 now, but he's really worked his way to the top. So that would probably be my favorite now, but I don't like to have favorites.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
But you can tell when Cat's having an off day.
Yeah.
Listen, Cat.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Do you talk to him like that? Cat, you're having an off day.
Well, I say, get your shit together, Cat. And then, you know, he's a pretty smart horse. So it's it's fun to, and that's, you know, sometimes it's scary when you go in the barn before a race, and if a horse is acting a different way, you're like, well, what's going on with this horse today? You know what I mean? Like, just not doing. They have this like things they do before a race. I have my right leader, he grinds his teeth. And if he doesn't do that, I'm like, I get a little worried, because usually when he grinds his teeth, he has a good race. It's kind of funny. If you can believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have quirks that way. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So it's that's what I mean. Like, it's getting
That's
to
wild.
know these horses and their personalities. It's really neat.
That's wild. I mean, once again, you look around this room, you understand that I'm a born and bred hockey player, and the players have their quirks.
Oh, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah? Same thing.
Yeah.
That has to be wild to watch.
Well, it's a perfect example. I don't know. He'll probably slap me for saying this, but like DJ King, like before he'd go and fight, when he's in the show, he'd always dry heave or gag or puke in the dressing room. He'd say he does the same thing when he gets fired up for the races.
Does
That's
he
when
really?
he knows he's fired up and ready to go.
You could hear him across the camp.
Yeah, just gagging and dry heaving, but that was his thing, and it just transferred over, right?
Do you go, uh-oh,
Yeah.
DJ's going to have a race?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How about you, Kris? How did you? We now know that you both first generation rookie seasons, both in 2014. But how do you get into this lifestyle and racing the horses?
Yeah. So when I was younger, like Danny said, I had some cousins. So Shane and Vern Nolan are my second cousins. Vern's in the other association now, and Shane's retired. But also BJ Carey's my first cousin. So when we were young, my family used to go to the races and watch Shane and Vern race or whatever, and I was really young, 12 or 13 or whatever, and I'd go and help my cousins and play in the barns and stuff like that. And as I grew older, I got to know a few people like around the barns, and I met Jamie Labakane, and I ended up working for Brian for the rest of my years when I was in high school. So I barn handed for them and for a few years, and when I graduated, I got a call from Norman Judy Cuthbertson that they needed a barn hand in the other association. So I jumped all over it, went to the world and worked for Norman Judy Cuthbertson for I think 3 or 4 summers, and that's where I started outriding. Norm used to outride back in the day, so he kind of got me going, and it was something that I always wanted to do. So he got me going outriding, and then I think I outrode from 2004 till 2010 in the WPCA, and throughout that time, I went to school to be a shoer, a farrier as well. So then I kind of just
A what?
a farrier, put horseshoes
Not
on
a
the
ferry.
horses. Yeah, yeah, to put horseshoes on the horses. So
Okay.
So I did that, and I outrode for I guess it was till 2010, and I was done with the game. I was kind of thinking I'd quit and go be an adult and get a real job. And then, so 2011 is the only year since I was 12 that I never ever did anything, because the following year, BJ called me in the CPCA, and he was up in, I think they started in Battleford, and he's like, I don't have an outrider. What are you doing? I said, well, I'm off this weekend. He's like, can you come? Okay, fine. Like, I kind of missed it. So I went back 2012, and I rode the CPCA every second weekend because I was working 7 and 7s. Then I did it another year, and then I was like, frick, like, I'm done. I quit. I'm either going to quit altogether or I want to start driving. He's like, I told him, I said, I'll quit my job. I'll come back full time next year, but I need you to teach me how to start driving. And I drove a little bit, like, behind the scenes after the races and stuff, so I knew the gist of it, and just never ever really got to go out on the track and blow out like full out driving. So he's like, well, just start driving next year. I was like, I don't have the money for that. He's like, I'll help you out and get you going. So BJ helped me get going, and we traveled together for the first year and started buying horses, and then that was the year 2014 when we both started. So then just kind of went from there. The following year we kind of hooked up together because, like I said, we lived together there for a while. So I said, well, no use us both going separate ways. We'll just travel together and haul our feed together, and saves time and money, and we kind of haul our feed together and travel together and help each other set up and stuff. So kind of saves a little bit of effort there.
Is there a little bit of brotherhood behind with all the drivers, or is it kind of everybody sticks to their cluster?
It's hard to say. I think everybody respects everybody, just like anywhere you go. But like, we stick to our kind of friends. You talk to everybody, but we have a specific group that we kind of hang out with. And
yeah, I wouldn't even call it cliques, but there's definitely guys like we go and have morning coffee with the same 3 people every morning for the last 5 years. If somebody new comes there, we kind of turn our noses on at them and get out of here. Like, we say things in this morning coffee that nobody else needs to hear. So
we watch the races from the night before, and then we have coffee when the horses are eating their oats in the morning, and we'll watch the races.
Go over how everybody screwed up and what we did wrong and what we can do better, and what horses we can change and stuff like that. So
I gotta ask. The listener cannot see this, but on the left, I got Danny, cowboy hat, like just cowboyed up. On the right, I got Kris, hat, t-shirt, not cowboyed
long
up.
hair.
Sure. Do you give him rough time?
Oh, I give him a rough time all the time.
I give him a rough time because I don't think he knew what a podcast was. Thought maybe he was on TV or something.
I'm pretty old school.
I was like, this is radio, eh?
In fairness, normally if it was one-on-one, I would have video, so he's not too far.
Oh, well, good.
Look at who's right this time.
Yeah. So you two live together?
Yeah, when we were both, I'm married now, but we both worked in the oil field, and we were both gone all the time. So, and I needed a place to rent, so I rented a room from him.
6 years, probably.
Yeah, probably. Left in the middle and come back. And
How is it with you two and both driving, both the same year?
No, this is before we were driving.
Yeah,
now but you both come in the same year. You got the history of living together, which I'm sure. Well, you when you live with somebody, you pick up some quirks. I'm assuming you've each picked up some quirks of the other guy.
Oh, definitely.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah. But you would get mad because he would get up on the couch and I'd grab him by his legs and throw him off the couch when he was hungover and stuff in the morning. So he didn't like that much.
Yeah, there was definitely some days for sure.
That rookie season, your first season, you both come in. You got the history with one another. That must have been a fun year.
Oh, definitely. And like the first year it was kind of, we went our separate ways. He kind of went and trained with Doug, and I went and trained with BJ. And when we went to the races, we didn't park together. And I mean, it was still the competitiveness of buddies or whatever and stuff like that. But at the same time, you want everybody to do good, right? So, but no, it was fun because of the history, right? We've known each other forever. The other rookies kind of didn't matter as much because you didn't
send him a text on Monday morning going, got you that one?
Yeah, no,
he
because
got me most of the time the rookie year.
But
Yeah.
you never. I'm one for sticking by never
Yeah.
saying shit like that
Yeah.
or sending text because the next weekend
Yeah.
will be shitty. I'm a huge karma guy. I'm not a
I just
superstitious guy, but the karma thing, you say something dumb, you're gonna get bit in the ass.
It's interesting to me though. Like in the sport, there's so many like family relations. You got the Baptiste, like the brothers,
for
right?
sure, yeah.
Like there's got to be a little bit of teasing that goes on.
Oh, teasing for
yeah.
sure. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
We hang out with the Tourniers, Luke
Okay,
and Lane.
yeah.
And if you want to go get teased, you just hang out with them for a while. And
Yeah.
It's back and forth pretty good. So it makes it a lot more fun.
Well, let's talk about what's happening here over the next 9 days, right? Starts tomorrow, which when this gets aired, it'll already be into day 2. Air episodes on Monday, Wednesdays. So it'll be day 2. So the opening day will be over. How cool is it, normally in a season, and by all means, correct me if I'm wrong, but normally the CPCA doesn't cross over with the WPCA.
Other than Calgary.
Yeah.
Other than Calgary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that's correct.
So how cool is it to have it here in Lloyd, to be a part of it, to have so many, like this is going to be a big, big, big thing. And tomorrow, once again, it'll be yesterday for the listener, but tomorrow she's full, like,
Wide open.
oh man.
It'll be good to see.
I hope the stands are packed. I think they will be.
No. Well, let's be very clear. They're going to be packed.
Oh, they're gonna, especially a Sunday night.
Yeah.
If we were starting on a Monday or Tuesday, maybe, but it'll be packed tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
I
No,
think it'll be busy all week.
I
People want to do stuff.
I went by, I tell this story all the time. I'm driving with the kids back from Lashburn. I look over at the Legion Ballpark, and there's like, I don't know, I call it 500, but it was more like probably 250 people, right?
It looks busy.
I'm like, what the heck's going on at the Ball Diamonds? All it was like 11-year-old's ball game.
T-ball game, yeah.
But everybody was out because you could, no mask, sit around the Ball Diamond and have like when you go, hopefully the fans show up, the fans are showing up.
Oh, they will.
yeah.
I
Like-
think so. Especially this town. This town
Yeah.
loves that
The
stuff.
Oh,
finals
lunch.
is always full to capacity there the last few years, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be people. Pretty sure.
Does that when you get you're getting ready and you can see the fans pouring in, you boys does that fire you up?
Oh, definitely. It's for sure. Like the fans make it, right? And some of the smaller venues we go to, and they're still, the stands will be packed, but it doesn't put out the sound that this full grandstand will make, right? So the full grandstand cheering and screaming when you come down the home stretch, you'll notice it here. So it definitely gets you more amped and ready to go for sure.
I try not to think about it. I just pay attention to what I'm doing and just go drive my race. I'll look in the stands. Oh, it looks like lots of people here tonight, but I try and put that out of my mind and get to business.
You'll be dry heaving like DJ. Think
No,
about it
I
too
don't.
much?
I don't get that nervous. No. No.
I said if I ever did that, I'd quit. I couldn't handle that, doing that every day.
What was your favorite part of getting back into the circuit? And was it being around all the drivers? Was it having the horses loaded up and everything? Like what's your guys' favorite part of being, back rolling?
I think driving the horses. We didn't do as soon as they said COVID was shutting everything down, we just turned the horses out. I was disgusted, so I just turned the horses out and I didn't drive. We maybe drove a couple new ones last fall, I think, a little bit, but it was just, you're mad. I was mad, and I think everybody was, right? So, and I felt sorry for the horses, and I just kind of wanted to be done with it. But then this spring, when we started driving the new ones again and getting back with the horses, it felt right, And then when we went to Doug's to spring train this year, and once we started driving fours on his track, then it became real again. Then you're okay. I'm having now we're having fun. I forgot this feeling. It was 2 years a year and 3/4, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I missed. And don't get me wrong, I love traveling down the road and racing, but it's driving the horses that I really missed and like.
Yeah, and I like the racing part is obviously the drivers. Hopefully that's why you're here, but the family part and everything else, that's a part a guy loves. But we still had that on our time off. So, but we didn't get to race, and we still had to work. We still had to feed horses, still had to do all that stuff. So we're doing all the work. I mean, the horses were turned out, so it was easier, but you still got to do everything to feed them all winter. So it's all that stuff's like normal. But so the one thing we were missing was the actual racing. The racing part was like that first race when you look beside you and you're racing beside two other guys instead of by yourself on a lonely track practicing. That was probably the most exciting first part, like to get back at it, like having that year off. It was almost like just as shitty as it was a vacation, right? That's the first summer we've been at the lake for since I was a kid, right? So you didn't.
Did you enjoy that, or were you like?
No, I did. I really enjoyed it, but I mean, I don't picture myself. I couldn't do it forever.
Is it possible that on both your profiles you said your favorite place was anywhere with a beach? Is that possible that both of you had the same thing?
Probably.
I mean Mexico. Not.
Yeah.
I mean going to sit on a beach in your shorts and having a nice beer in your hand and not
Slushy
worrying
tequila
about
drink.
anything.
Do you wear the cowboy hat when you're sitting at the pull-up bar?
I haven't been there for years, but I don't think so. Well, I got to wear a hat or else my top of my head will burn. So.
You ever wear a cowboy hat?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I wear it lots. It was too hot to get dressed up. So sitting in the camper, I'm not changing. Let's just go.
Yeah, it doesn't help. It's plus 34.
Yeah.
No, I don't know the backstory. You obviously have a family, you mentioned. Kids?
Wife and one kid. He'll be a year August 1st.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's still a
Newbie.
newbie, yeah.
You're in the shit.
Yeah, it's busy, that's for sure. Yeah.
Well, any day you're having a rough day, you can think of me, 3 under 5. Or you can think of a buddy of mine who's Ken Rutherford. What is he? He's in his 40s. He's got 6.
Ooh, that'll keep you busy.
That'll keep you busy.
Well, we have one of our friends. He's actually the John Deere salesman, but they have 4, and the oldest just turned 5. And
what?
And the youngest is my kid's age. So
4 under 5.
4 under 5, yeah. 5.
Man, they don't wait, do they?
No.
They.
And the youngest is my kid's age, so they're both 1.
Yeah.
I think she just had a birthday.
Enjoying it?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's the best. Yeah.
Family come with you on the road everywhere?
Oh yeah, definitely. She'll go home during the week if we gotta go from town to town. If we don't take our horses home, like lots of times we'll just go town to town, just to save the travel all the way back to Bonnyville and then to load up and come back. Like we just come from Onion Lake straight to here, so she'll go home during the week and just kind of relax and get out of the camper. That's the big thing with a 1-year-old is get out of a camper and go somewhere where he can move around and get out of the heat too. Like that's a big thing right now. You're pretty much stuck in the AC all day, and he gets a little busy to be locked in the camper.
Yeah, no kidding. How about you, Danny?
No, I'm single, no kids.
Single and looking to mingle.
Yeah, always mingling, eh?
Just waiting for restrictions to open up.
Yeah, no. But my parents follow my dad's the president of the CPCA.
Oh, okay.
So they come to every show and they help out lots too. So it's family everywhere. So
yeah, they're like my second parents too. Yeah, so it's good.
They take care of their little Flanny.
Well, here's a question for the both of you. For people that in Lloyd, I assume people have been to the Chucks. Let's assume for a second you're new to Lloyd or new to the sport, or I don't know, going other than the final race where everything, where all the pressure's on and the big money's won. If you're new to the sport, what's one of the events that you should take in this one? Because there's the Indian Relay, the Mentorship Heats, and the Heritage Heat. 2 Heritage Heats, I believe, first and last night.
Yeah.
What if you were trying to bring new fans in? What one would you suggest if they were going to come to a night, or maybe they all happen in the same night?
Well, it's the Heritage Heat is on our day 1 and day 9, I think.
Yeah.
And the Indian Relay is the first 3 nights, and I think that's pretty cool to watch. It's a
breakdown for the listener. What on earth an Indian Relay is?
So they have different races, but it's they ride a horse without a saddle. It's bareback.
Okay.
And some of the races are just a race around the track once, but then they have their other races where they they switch. They'll race around the track with one horse, and then there's a box like they in chalk on the like right beside the grandstands, and then they got to switch horses. So they'll jump off almost half speed, I would say,
Pretty fast.
and they'll switch and they'll jump onto another horse and take that horse around the track.
What?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the relay, I think they do 3 laps. So they start on
Yeah.
one, they do a lap, they jump off, switch horses, get another one, do a lap.
And do it as fast as they can.
And I think there's 5 or 6 teams going at once.
Yeah.
So when they're coming into the infield, it's pretty much freaking
Chaos.
demolition derby,
Yeah.
trying to get to your box and switch horses and take off again. So there's a lot of skill and a lot of
And
Good
those
athletes
guys
there.
are good riders and athletes. I'll tell you that much.
well to ride around the track.
As
they're
hard as
back
you can
hard
go.
As they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then
And that's the first 3 nights. That'll be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then
How much?
the mentor heats, there's 2 heats before the races. So I think they start at
Every
6.
night?
Yeah,
Yeah.
every night. So there's 6 guys in those. So three wagons, a heat, and they just race against each other. They're not part of the other show, but they're kind of newer drivers and
Young rookies that
Yeah.
just maybe not ready.
So, like, let's say go back in the day when you're an outrider.
Yep.
Kris. This would be something, as you're an outrider, you could actually participate in just to get kind of a feel for it?
Well, yeah, you got to remember that we've already went to 2 shows. So all the outriders are already, they've rode a bunch of shows already, right?
I mean, for this mentorship heat, is this like people, like an outrider who's never driven before?
Oh,
no, they've all driven before.
They're all
Yeah,
driven
yeah.
before.
They're all
Yeah.
on the tour.
yeah.
Oh, okay. They're all
Yeah.
on the tour.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It was more or less they wanted the show to be the 9 heats of 4 from both associations, and we had some extra drivers, and we didn't want, like, the whole idea is for everybody to get a piece of the pie.
I got what you're
Yeah.
So we
saying.
kind of they made up this other thing where they can kind of share the wealth and
So they're all drivers,
oh yeah,
but they're not in the main show.
They're not in
but
the main
but they
show,
get to be a
Exactly.
part of it.
Yeah,
So I got
exactly.
you
And
now.
then these 6 guys, they're racing for a dash on day 8, I think, because they only run 3 a heat.
Yeah.
And then it's a dash for $3,000, and they get a spot in the NACC next year.
yeah. So the winner of those six
That's
mentors,
that's enough to
There's some good
motivate a guy.
incentive, yeah.
Yeah.
For
yeah.
sure. It's a good deal for them.
because to qualify for next year, I believe it's the top 12 of the other association, the top 12 of our association, and the top 12 that finish this week at the NACC. So you'll have 36 guys next year, but so having that one guy at the NACC, maybe he has his first year on the tour, he doesn't finish in the top 12 in either spot. So that's pretty good incentive. If you can win that mentor heat, you get to go next year. Because I don't know if every year they'll have these mentor heats, right? Like the first year we're just kind of getting the show off the ground, and
Yeah,
hopefully
you gotta get a feel for it.
you're never ever going to replace the Calgary Stampede because they kicked us out or whatever. But we're trying to build a couple shows that we can actually make a living at, where the sport can live on.
Because this sport is a lot of money. Don't kid yourself. Like, we put a lot of money and time into this sport, and if we don't have big shows like this, there probably won't be much chuckwagon racing in the future. That's the whole idea of this NACC, is to keep wagon racing going. She's a tough world.
Well, and we rely heavily on the sponsorship to get us down the road and stuff. And then your prize money, you hope to make enough so that you can buy new horses for next year, or upgrade maybe your trailer, or a truck needs fixed, or stuff like that, right? We're definitely not getting rich doing it, but we love what we do, and we want to at least not be in the negative every time we finish the season. So that's where, when we finally qualified for the Stampede in 2019, things were looking up, right? But then COVID hit, and they changed a bunch of rules there, and this year they didn't have chuck wagons at all. So
What rules did they change?
well, they went from 36 drivers to 27. So actually in 2020, we got invited to our second Calgary Stampede.
Okay.
So when COVID hit, in the spring or whatever it was, I can't remember the timeline exactly, they were going to change. When they still thought the Stampede was going to run in 2020, they went, well, we want 27 people there instead of 36 because it's safer, because they're going to run 3 wagons per heat instead of 4.
This is off of the bad year. There was some.
It was a bad year, but a lot of things that getting rid of a driver wouldn't have changed, right? Like a horse runs down or something and takes a couple with him. You're not going to change that by getting rid of one driver. I don't. But anyways, so in 2020, we get these letters saying, well, you guys aren't invited anymore. So you can tell how much that stung, because that's where the money is at, was Calgary, right? And we've worked our careers just to get there, and they send that letter out and say, oh, we don't want you guys here anymore because getting rid of 9 guys makes it safer. So
before I go down the safety route, I gotta know, in the Chuckwagon, in the Stampede world, there's nothing bigger than the Calgary Stampede, at least for this area.
Used to be. Yep.
What was it like getting the call to go there in 2019? Well, and both of you at the same time.
Yeah, no, it was pretty exciting. I think he got the call before me, and he wouldn't text me until I texted him. I think he was waiting to see what was going on.
Yeah, it's cool because the people that run it, they call you personally and ask you if you want to compete in the following year. They call you in the fall, and it's shady how they're doing it. Or not, let me rephrase that. Not shady, but they went to invite only. Like in the olden days, they'd take the top amount of this association, the top amount of this association. It didn't matter. The olden days say it was a top 16 from both.
Okay.
So as long as you were in the top 16, you knew you were going to the Calgary Stampede the following year. But then they started picking and choosing who they wanted to go. So then
why would they do that?
Get certain people there to make sure somebody that maybe isn't as professional as the next guy to be there.
Who cares? Don't
exactly.
You want a championship. You want the best.
You want the best of the best.
You want the best.
And that's which in 2019 I had a bad year on running. I was kind of rebuilding. My horses weren't very fast, so I finished way down to the CPCA. So I didn't even think I was going. Like I didn't think I'd get a call or whatever. So they called. I think I was 20th, and they called me. No,
that was the last year. But the year that we both went in our rookie year, you had a good year.
Oh no, I know that. But the following year, when we got our invite to the 2020, I was 20th in the CPCA. Like I didn't deserve to be there. They skipped 9 guys or whatever to get to me, but they liked how I acted when I was there, and I was good with sponsors, and so they invite you back. But to me, that's unfair. That's with this show. I wanted to stay. Like.
Yeah, if you're the best, you get invited.
If you want it to be the top 12, then that's the top 12. You don't. Oh, you're messy or something, so we're gonna skip you. It has to be the top 12.
And another thing for that is that the fans like that when there's different races. Like back in the WPCA, there wasn't just the race for first. There was the Calgary spot race, and then there was the runoff race.
Yep.
So then you have 3 different races where if the guy in first is 200 points ahead of the guy in second, it's not much of a race, and then nobody really is interested, right? But if you have 3 different races, and say you're taking the top 20 out of the CPCA, and you have from 15th to 25th is within 10 points. Could you imagine the people watching biting their nails for that interest?
And
right?
exciting for us too. So say it's a top 20 and you're in 22nd, you're gonna hook your best every day until the year's over to try and climb into 20th spot, right? Now when Calgary, well, who cares? I was 20th. They're gonna call me. Didn't matter how good I did, obviously. And then there's guys that never been to Calgary and they were 12th. They probably deserved to go there, but they skipped them to go to me. So like that stuff isn't fair. They changed a bunch of rules to make it safer or whatever it is. It was it's disheartening because you could be 8th or something and they'd skip you,
it's
right?
Too bad, we so much of sport is built on if you're good, you're moving on, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Now in the States and obviously in chuckwagons, those rules sometimes get, and as a fan they sometimes get twisted, right? And you're like, well, that makes, as a fan you just go, that makes like zero sense. Like if take, I don't know, I'm going to use a hockey reference. If the Arizona Coyotes pull themselves out of the basement and all of a sudden are the best team in the NHL, they're going to playoffs. Yeah. And if they continue to win, they're going to the finals.
Yeah, could you imagine saying, "Oh, you guys finished second, but we don't really want you in the playoffs. We're going to take Anaheim that's sitting in the basement. Sorry, you don't have enough people in the stands."
Pulling it back to the NCC, NACC, North American here in Lloydminster then. So moving forward, Could you say that again? So they're moving with the structure of the top 12 at each?
Top 12 from each association, I believe. And then this week, the top 12 guys that finish get invited back for next year. So you're kind of safe. So if you finish in the top 12, you know you're going to get to go next year. So
That's
maybe
pretty good. I mean, regardless, there's always incentive to win.
Well, and maybe you want to ease up on your good horses or something because maybe one's sore or tired. And so then now you're not going to push so hard to get in the top 12 to get next year, right? So there's a lot of incentive this year to be in that top 12.
There's a little bit of strategy, isn't there?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Especially in a 9-day marathon. So you got to really get your horses in your lineup. And
Do you race every single night?
Yeah.
Every single night?
Yeah.
I don't know. This might be a dumb question. You said marathon, so I'll stick on that word and go 9 days is a lot?
It's a lot in a row, but you're not driving your same horses every night. They have to have breaks in between and stuff. But it's a marathon because it's just day after day after day for you, right? You're always doing this. It's actually a 9-day show is probably easier because you get in your routine, and it's always the same time, so it kind of works out. But it's still a marathon, right?
It's long, and we have a thing. It's called fitness to compete for the horses. So you can only run the same horses 3 days in a row, and then they need a break. So you got to kind of constantly be planning on your good outfit. You're going to want to run off maybe the 1 and 2 barrel, and then you'll run your second outfit off the 3, maybe go back to your good for the 4. And so you're always, it's a little more team management too. Whereas on a weekend with only 4 days, well, you can run them all 4 days, right? Because then they have a week off. So the 9 days is actually, it's fun to think about that part of even when you were back in Calgary, your 10 days, you're huge team management trying to figure out what horses to go each night to make sure you can keep them in that fitness to compete program.
I love the strategy. The strategy is the best.
Yeah, that's it gets your mind thinking, and well, then all of a sudden one horse doesn't act the way you think, and then you're back on the drawing board, right?
And it always works out up here until you get out on the track and some guy beside you goes faster than you thought he was gonna, or goes slower than you thought you were gonna. Sometimes if you're on the 3, those 1 and 2 guys, those are fast barrelers. So I'm gonna pull up and tuck in behind them and come running down the home stretch, and then they have a slow turn and you're stuck 3 wide with your.
And that's the other thing, like he just said, is that you're not just not worried, but you're paying attention to what the other guys like. Say I'm on the 3 and he's on the 2, and somebody else is on the 1, but you kind of know how they turn on that barrel and what outfit. Like if you see a horse, okay, I know what he's doing. Like,
and that's why we watch the tapes in the morning too. We try and watch who we're hooked with to be like, okay, if they got that horse, they're gonna turn hard.
Yeah.
If they got this horse, they're probably gonna go for their run or whatever. So there's a lot to it.
Wait, this actually makes sense
It's almost
to me,
like
but it
scouts
surprised
watching
me.
other teams.
You watch who they're dressing for other horses or who they suit up.
Yeah.
You know, you can understand. Oh, they got Cat in the lineup.
Yeah.
They would know. Everybody would know his lead team. Like they kind of match. They look the same. And his other lead team has a gray on there, so they would know. Oh, Danny's got his good lead team on tonight, so he's gonna be out of there, right? So like everybody kind of watches for that stuff.
It's kind of wild. I mean, the hardcore chuckwagon guy who's listening to this right now is going, Sean doesn't have a clue, which is fine. But I think it's wild. I love the strategy. I love hearing how the night goes and how you're looking at who's he got out there. Well, it's night 2, so it's probably going to be this guy.
Well, what we do is like before the races, we all sit in the paddock and then you kind of look around and see what's on everybody's hook, and you're like, okay, I know what he's doing. It's like I said, it's fun thinking about all that stuff. There's
a lot more to it than the naked eye sees.
Absolutely. How disappointing was Stampede not having the trucks this year?
I don't know. Like the honest truth, I didn't care. I don't care anymore. They've screwed us over the year before. No, that's a lie. I do care. I want chuckwagons to thrive, but they're shooting themselves in the foot. The stands are going to be. That's where all the fans come from. All 10 days of that freaking Stampede is packed with people that come from Europe, from the States to watch chuckwagon racing. They don't come to watch bulldogging. They don't come to see the night show. They're shooting themselves in the foot. It sucks for the wagon drivers, but I don't know that it forced us to make this show. If Calgary didn't do all this stuff, this show wouldn't have happened. I think this is going to force the other association to build a big show. They're down in High River, and they're doing like a 2-weekend thing for 3 days and 3 days. So it's kind of forcing everybody to stop relying on Calgary to be the only source, because they've been putting different rules and different circumstances on everything. Like the prize money was supposed to go up 10 years ago. It never ever has. I mean, that's fine. That's all fine and dandy, but they kind of had you under the thumb because everybody wants to be there, thrive to be there. That's the money. But we couldn't do nothing about it because they controlled it. They did everything. They if you outspoke about it, well, you're not coming back. Probably never coming back. So it is what it is. But I hope this show now, it becomes the new Calgary Stampede of Chuckwagon. What do they call it on their flyer? The world's greatest Chuckwagon race, because it is right now. It's the best Chuckwagon race right now. We got great guys from both associations. It's a great venue. It's going to be great here. I mean, it sucks for the Chuckwagon in general, but it's going to force us to branch out and do better.
I had written down after Calgary Stampede. How what are you? And underlining it, I had disappointed or huge opportunity. Because,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, no,
Calgary Stampede is a wonderful show. The funny thing is the 2 or 3 times I've ever been there over the course of my life, the best part is always the checks.
And
You're
the
always
busiest,
like, yeah, we're gonna go. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we've been there lots. Like we were there, not in the racing, but we were always there. Like he was out riding and I was working as his barn hand, and you'd look into the stands. It didn't matter which year. Almost every night, like your Monday and Tuesday nights, like
it might only be three quarters full, but it's still 17,000 people.
Yeah.
Like you look over at the rodeo in the afternoon on a Tuesday, there might be 6,000 people. Like even on the weekends, like there's
something about a race, right?
But
like
exactly,
a race is
in the
fantastic.
same sense, the rodeo did bring in a lot of people too. Like
I bet you they went to the races that night too, though.
The Calgary Stampede, let's be very clear, is a juggernaut, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But one of the jewels they had was the checks.
Well, it's Western heritage, right?
Yeah. Like I'm really excited. Like when they announced this, I was like, oh man, that is a stroke of genius. Because honestly, bringing the best to Lloyd's a Chuckwagon. I get told this all the time with the guests I bring on. We're a hockey town first, and right behind that, we're Chuckwagons.
Yeah,
like
good.
What did I say before you came on? I don't know how many dollars I've lost on you guys racing around.
Well, that's the cool part about wagons, and you talk about Calgary and stuff, is those 20,000 people up there, probably 16,000 of them are betting their $1 per race, right?
Yeah.
There's where the excitement. I'll take the one barrel. You don't even have to know who it is.
I think he's spending a little more than $1, though.
Probably.
In the beginning, it was 25 cents.
Yeah, or a quarter.
As kids, we did. Well, I don't know how old I would have been. Probably in my teens, but we used to do quarters. And that's how I got introduced to it. That was the best.
But you're looking forward to it. It makes the races so much funner, right?
And the guy who loses gets to pick first for the next heat, and away you go.
Yeah, but like I say, everybody loves a race, right? Like it doesn't matter. It could be racing anything. People love
cars and anything. Yeah. Racing is exciting.
Yeah, like this is the rules. Here's where they got to go. Boom, done. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, like. He talks about he had one big race there where all 3 guys come across the finish line, but lots of races where you're not going to hear a bigger, like you come around that 4th turn in Calgary and this fans start screaming and stamping their feet, and there's no bigger rush that when you're running beside a couple other guys coming across that finish line. So like
in the wagon, you can't really hear anything when you're driving. Like it's hard to hear. Somebody talks to you, you can't hear anything. But like that one time in Calgary, I came around the 4th corner and you could hear just like somebody's yelling in your ear. It was crazy. It was intense. And then you're like, "Okay, come on, boys, start running."
Guaranteed the horses can feel that too.
Oh, the energy for sure. Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Can we talk for a couple minutes on the heritage heat? I think it's a super. I'm a big believer in tipping the cap to the people that have come before and are no longer, they're the alumni of the sport, so to speak. How cool is it to have Brian Labacane and Ray Mitzwing racing a couple times against each other.
It'll be pretty neat. It's probably one that a guy might like. I don't really watch the races prior to our own heat, but I think a guy might have to walk up there and watch that one for sure. Like I said, I grew up working for Brian when I was younger and hanging out with his son Jamie and stuff like that. And you guys always knew Ray and lots of respect for him. So it's gonna be neat to see them up there pulling on the line, see if they can even do it.
My first year, that's who if I had problems, I would go see Brian, and he would kind of steer me in the right direction too. So, and Ray, you'd always come have a coffee with me, and then you'd go talk and chat about. So they're pretty big names in our sport, and they built they're some of the guys that built this sport too, right?
Yeah, I once again, like their names. I'm not a giant. Like I can't sit here and act like I this last weekend you guys were in Onion Lake and the PCA was in Dewberry, and I didn't go to either. In fairness, but here coming to Lloyd, I'm rather excited about it. But with those two names, I'm like, I know both of those names, right?
Exactly,
like I grew up watching those guys,
yeah.
And got to see Ray's last race too.
Oh, yeah.
One of his last race. I assume it was his last race.
The finals in Lloyd, probably.
Yeah. And anytime a guy is a part of a sport for that many decades.
Yeah, 40, 50 years, right?
It's a long time.
There's no other. That's what I love about Chucks. Is there any other sport where you can play it that long? Honestly,
and be competitive.
And be competitive.
You can stretch
golf.
Golf. Hey, I tell you what.
Yeah, but
fair enough.
But they go to the Champions
there's a 55 champion, whatever it is. But Kelly Sutherland was still winning when he was 65, and they forced him to quit. I mean, I don't know if he wanted to quit. His body was still in good shape. He probably could have kept going. There's lots of guys like I don't know them specifically, but I mean their bodies are tired. Ray and Brian, they both will admit that their shoulders over the years take some beating pulling on all those horses, right? So I think both of them were probably sad to quit. Don't put words in their mouths, but their bodies were probably getting pretty tired. Brian will admit that.
Yeah.
But it'll be pretty cool to see for one time. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm honestly the first night I got to make tomorrow night I got to make it because I think that's anytime you do something like that, it's just like a huge. You're paying tribute to the guys who came before you, and those guys have really pushed the sport in the right direction, and they've been very good drivers for a lot of years. As we kind of wind down here, I do the Crude Master Final Five, so it's 5 quick questions, and then I'll let you boys get out of here and on to your day. I know you got a big week ahead of you, and I appreciate you coming in here. It's just the Crude Master Final Five. So the first one is a little different than what I normally do, and I'll have the second question as I normally do. But if there was one guy that I could bring in here from the Chuckwagons, who would you suggest?
Well, you got the 2 best guys here already. Yeah. What does it matter?
Like for an entertaining interview, or what are you kind of looking for?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm picking your brain. I mean, just somebody that'd be interesting to have sit across the chair from me.
Probably, like, if you wanted stories and stuff, I think Kelly Sutherland would probably.
I was just gonna say, if you're talking everybody, old wagon drivers, Kelly's one of the greatest wagon ambassadors there is. Like, and he has stories from back in the day where the old generations of Glasses and Dorchesters when he was 18 running against some of those guys, right? I've listened to lots of stuff and interviews that he's done, and he's awesome to listen to.
How about this one then? If you could sit down in my seat and interview anyone, who would you take?
Anybody.
Oh, jeez. Like wagon-wise or
anyone
together? I don't know. That guy up there would be pretty cool.
Are we talking Gordy? Are we talking Steve?
Stevie Y.
Yeah, Stevie Y.
He's my favorite hockey player ever, like from day one. And I just happened to notice that picture up there, and yeah, it's pretty cool. We got to meet Gordy in Vegas one time. BJ actually got his jersey signed and stuff, and it was pretty cool. He was pretty old then, but
when it comes to legends, those two are. Yeah. I mean, Gordy's Mr. Hockey, but Stevie Y is.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
If we're talking hockey, my favorite player growing up was Jeremy Roenick. I just loved the way he played hockey, and he was just a pest.
He is an entertainer.
He'd be good to be on a
podcast, no kidding.
Yeah, he'd be entertaining, I think.
Where's you've talked a lot about Stampede and coming around the final corner and the crowd and everything. Where's one of the hidden gems that you race on the tour that you love going to?
I don't know. That show we just came from, Onion Lake, was pretty good. The fans there were amazing. There's probably 4,000, 5,000 people there.
Oh, wow.
In their cars and everything, and it was pretty cool. And they take care of they work pretty hard to take care of us there. So it's a really good show, and nice and quiet, and you're in the middle of a
Lots of space.
Yeah, lots of space.
Lots of space for the horses. That's always a bonus.
Onion Lake for you too, then, Kris?
No, my hidden gem is always the Turtleford show.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one, too.
We always put on a charity golf tournament there the day before it starts. It's almost...
The Women of the Wagons.
Women of the Wagons. So for the Jim Patterson hospital and stuff, they raise money for them in the year end. And so you go golf for one day, and it's almost like a vacation, because Turtle Lake, you go to Turtle Lake one day and get ice cream or go for a swim, and the grounds is kind of all spread out. You're not just in a tight packed area. One guy's in the bushes over here, one guy's here, so you're kind of relaxed. And I don't know why it seems relaxed there, but the crew always puts on a good the committee always puts on a good show there, and does for such a small town to do what they do. It's just a nice place to go. But everywhere we go is pretty good.
Yeah, there's not
We're
really
pretty lucky that way.
it's
Great committees all over the association. Like, I love coming to Lloyd at the finals too. It's nice to be here too. So,
what do you guys do in the wintertime? In the off season?
little as possible would be nice, but I've been in the oil patch forever. I've been dispatching in it for a trucking company for quite a while. So,
in the fall I help farm on we farm 4,000 acres, and then in the winter and fall I'm a truck push moving rigs. The supervisor in charge of the trucks that move the drilling rigs from location to location.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So full-time jobs in the off season.
yeah.
I should give you the opportunity. Who's your major sponsor or tarp sponsor? Who's helping you guys along?
So, like, for this show, I have Alberta Industrial Carriers as my sponsor, but then B&R Eccles sponsored me for the final, and I got Superior Concrete Pumping out of Coal Lake that's sponsored me, and Sure Shot Wireline. So, a lot of good guys and a lot of fun when they come around. So,
My sponsor here and quite a few other shows for the season is PVAC Corp out of Bonnyville. They do mulching and bucket trucks and hazardous tree removals and stuff like that. Just a great bunch of people, and they like the sport, and it's great. You need to have that sponsorship to help you get down the road.
Absolutely. Well, your final one, I got to know what is the best horse name you've ever given or heard?
Okay.
that's a good one, actually.
Well, Danny is the king of giving three-letter word names. He has about 10 horses that all have Art, Cal, Jim, and they're human names, right? So he has so many horses that are just
Way easier to spell, eh?
I don't know. There's so many different names that you wouldn't even.
And then, like, sometimes we name horses after people and
Get a
then-
horse
and
from
then-
somebody, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm asking about the best horse name.
Oh,
There's got to be a horse when you heard it, you're like, man, that's a pretty good name, or funny, or whatever. Or there must be a story behind that. You're telling me the best names you've ever heard, Kris, is Art.
Hey, that's a good name.
Cat.
Come on, get off my case.
I'm not saying they're bad names. I'm saying I'm looking for the best.
Nothing really
name.
sticks out. Like,
We did. I bought a horse from Luke Turney, and we called him Uncle Leo.
Uncle Leo.
Well, that's his brother's name, and
Okay.
everybody calls him Uncle Leo. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
The horse was temperamental, so we called him Uncle Leo. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
nothing really sticks out.
no.
Because every name you could ever imagine a horse was named after it, right? So, yeah, I don't.
All the stories about horses, and you can't even give me like nothing. Can't give me nothing.
Not great names, no.
No. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Trying to think, but I have a horse called Ham because he's a big fat horse. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, I appreciate you guys coming in and sitting and doing this with me. Best of luck to you here in the next 9 days. I hope everything goes well. I'm not worried about fans showing up or support.
No.
It's going to be a packed. I mean, literally tomorrow, and when they listen to this, yesterday, things open up in Saskatchewan, right? Like,
Yeah.
she's going to be wild for 9 days, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong on that, but I have a hard time believing it. So best of luck to you guys. Appreciate you coming in here, and yeah, just thanks for hopping in and doing this with me.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Hey, folks, thanks for joining us today. If you just stumbled on the show, please click subscribe. Then scroll to the bottom and rate and leave a review. I promise it helps. Remember, every Monday and Wednesday, we will have a new guest sitting down to share their story. The Sean Newman Podcast is available for free on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcast fix. Until next time. Hey, Keeners. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. I got to start dropping some hints here pretty quick. I think I got my 200th guest. Pretty excited about it. A few things got to come together before I'm going to be 100% sure. But like I say, 200th episode is honestly right around the corner, and I'm super excited for you guys to figure out who may be coming up here very shortly, and that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm pretty excited about it. 200 episodes coming up awfully quick, and it's going to be a doozy. Anyways, get out there, enjoy the sun, go watch some CPCA and WPCA truck wagons this week here in Lloyd. All right, we'll catch up with you guys Wednesday.